Welcome to Kinky Knots Cafe's Proactive is the Way. Proactive is the Way is a podcast brought to you by two sisters who dove into the health and wellness industry, one planned and the other by fate. We have joined forces to bring to you authentic conversations about our personal experiences as it relates to managing our health, working within the industry, and taking our combined knowledge to share with you some pearls of wisdom that you can take with you to live the best version of you. Over the next year, we will host 2 episodes a month. And each month, we will focus on a topic that is designed to increase an awareness of tools and resources to enhance an aspect of your mind, body, and spirit. This week, we are continuing our discussions on being all in our feelings as we share our thoughts on Emotional Intelligence 2.0 by Travis Bradberry and Jean Greaves. So, Tiffany, it's been a while since we connected, right?
Yeah, because we've just been connecting kind of I guess.
Yeah. So how's things been going in sunny LA? Is it sunny? I'm hoping.
LA is experiencing some very weird weather. Like right now it's cold. Like it's still cold.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's still cold. And so it was a lot of rain for a couple of weeks. Where my contract is, it's still snowing in the mountains, and then
what?
but
it's always snowing in the mountain. Aren't the mountaintops always covered in snow?
Not always.
Not always? Oh, okay.
When it starts to warm up. So basically I was saying all that to say that it's not warming up just yet. Like the mornings are still very cool.
Okay.
And normally like the weather would have turned by now.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Because how is Ohio?
Yeah, it's Ohio. Bipolar. I don't know what to call her. Bipolar something. 1 minute is 73, the next day is 52, next day is raining. A day after you got tornado sirens going. I'm like, what is going on? Ohio need to get herself together.
Bipolar.
The weather. See, I could deal with Ohio from.
She got anxiety.
Yeah, I'm telling you, she all over the place. I could deal with Ohio from May until October.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then I'm done. I'm so done, like ready to go. I need to be like those retirees, they stick around for like 6 months of the year and then they head to Florida. Yeah, my neighbors.
Speaking of retirees in Florida, Ohio's gonna go to no income tax.
Oh, are they?
They develop in like Florida. Mm-hmm. As in legislation like Florida.
I don't care about paying taxes. I want to pay taxes because I want them to get a train over here so we can travel. You know what I'm saying?
I know it would be nice
about getting a high-speed train for like ever. And I'm like, can y'all please go ahead and get that together?
Well, out here they blocking Elon Musk from doing it. He said he could have
Elon Musk is trying to do an underground, and you guys have just too much stuff going on, I think, to be doing an underground tunnel. Did you see
it's gonna leave this area. It's not like it's gonna be on the fault line. Like if something happened, it's gonna have to happen very quickly. The train gonna be gone by the time it, crush anything as fast as the train is supposed to travel.
I think it's more of a safety concern out there because I remember the first time when I was staying out there with you, and I was like, all the kids was like, "Oh my God!" I was sleeping. All the kids was like, oh. And I woke up and I was like, "What happened?" Yeah. And they were like, "An earthquake." I said, "No, not really."
Yeah,
It's
because we was asleep in the hotel. I remember that earthquake, and the whole hotel was like, woo.
No.
And then we woke up and we was like, was that an earthquake? And then and then the elevator jammed.
Girl,
So it knocked the
not the
elevator
one.
off the whatever
I'm not
holds
the
the
one.
elevator.
Wow.
Yeah, I do actually remember that earthquake. The kids felt it. I didn't know that.
Yes, they woke me up. I didn't feel it. I was knocked out. I woke up like, what happened?
I wonder why. And you didn't feel it. That is hilarious.
Oh my gosh, girl, I could sleep through anything. All right. So let's go ahead. Let's jump in here. It's good to have you back. As folks I had shared previously in our podcast, while I was rolling solo for a while, that we change things up a little bit while we go through our recovery mode and get our home back together, etc. So every 2 weeks we will do a review of the book, and then I should say 2 weeks we will do a review of the book, and then in the next 2 weeks Tiffany and I will get together to talk about our thoughts as it related to the book. So we'll keep that here going. So emotional intelligence 2.0. Tell me, because I know you had an opportunity to read it, on a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 as a must read and 1 as save your pocket change, how do you rate this book?
Well, using some of the tenets from the book, where he educated on, from every experience, from every encounter, seek to learn, no matter who or what it is. I would say a 5.
Okay.
I learned some things, but some things I already knew about myself, because I was really, a lot of the information that we are collecting, I focus on the on self-improvement. So I take it serious, and I take it to, to that next level. So I want to see the light at the end of the tunnel. So I
So
think this
you implement it. So a lot of what he's, if I can sum up kind of what you just said, a lot of what he's shared, we've seen quite a bit of it before.
Right. We're living it, or
we're living it right now, and we're taking pieces of what he has shared and applying it within our lives.
I believe we were groomed that way, though, from childhood.
True, because daddy was
from what daddy, yes, into self-improvement, and where there's a will, there's an
a way, or an A. Yes, where there's a will, there's an A. You're right. We had all those tapes.
Yeah, and still down there.
Right. Dianetics. He has all those books.
Dianetics, yes. Ron L. Hubbard. He introduced us to Ron L. Hubbard way back before this whole Scientology thing we learned about. So self-improvement is very important to me, because I think that if we're going to make a profound impact as as human beings, that's important, to know how you are actually impacting others. If you have poor emotional intelligence, or just a lower IQ, emotional IQ or EQ. Oh yeah, EQ. Sorry. Then you will your impact is not going to be as profound or as meaningful or anything.
Right. Yeah. I would say for me, when I read it, I was like, I gave it a 4 only because I wanted more. I was like reading it and I was like, man, it's leaving my throat a little dry. But I will say they actually do give you more, but it's going to cost you.
Right. You want to upgrade? Okay.
Do you want to upgrade?
But you know what? Okay, so I listened to the books.
Mhm.
And what was throwing me was him doing the different voices. I was like, now wait a minute. Y'all couldn't interview somebody. He was okay, so like they do the they had like the 4, I didn't like that. I was like, why were they doing why was he doing a woman's voice?
When we shifted this podcast, and I was like, I don't see how people do podcasts solo. Honestly, because you sit there and you literally feel weird interviewing yourself. Like I was like, I'm not doing this. And I had to change the whole scope of it because I had did something very similar where I was like, so James, and I was thinking to myself, why are you doing that, girl? You sound crazy.
Well, it just sounded too, right? To take a topic like emotional intelligence and then to do that, it sounded too playful for me. Like it took the seriousness of the tone.
I didn't listen to it. Now I want to go listen to it. I bought it. I did buy the audio.
And maybe those were different voices. I don't know.
It might be that they were different voices, but
I don't think they were though. I think it was him and he was a woman at one time and then a man. And I was just like, now what is going on here? I was like, okay, all right.
Oh my God.
But I'm open. I mean, if that's
now I'm about to go listen to it. Now I'm about to go
listen to oh man, what part was that? When he starts telling the stories of,
of the different women, what other people were saying about their managers and stuff.
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna check it out.
Reading that, you probably remember, but you don't know that he was doing the different voices. And I was just like, he could have just read that. Like Margaret, I can't remember one of the managers' names he said, but how people managers think that chastising an employee or correcting an employee in front of other people is going to motivate the other employees when it actually does the opposite.
Yeah.
It actually demotivates them because now they're going to play everything safe and they're not going to branch out and take risks.
So he did a voiceover.
And I was like, is this man doing different voices? Because I listened to this as I'm driving and I got irritated. I was like, wait, why is he doing that when he could just read them on a but maybe that was for added like entertainment because maybe he thought it was getting boring. So like when you read to a little kid, you don't read what's on the page. You be like, and the
Oh my God. All right. So let's go ahead and we'll dive into our first question here. I had wanted to know when did you start hearing people throw around this word emotional intelligence? And then how did you define it before you even read this book or learned about this book?
Wow, it's probably been about 10 years now. No, I would say about maybe 5 to 7 years because I didn't know what it was, of course, right? And I think that we're coming up with new concepts and new terms just to kind of broaden our broaden our reach with
or understanding. Now we know how to
or broaden our understanding. Yeah, right. So we're putting words more to certain occurrences. So I think what I first learned about emotional intelligence was when I became a nurse, because I'm dealing with so many different people. I'm dealing with sick people, and they try you, right? They try every piece of you because they're ill, and they may say things. He talked about triggers, and you think about what are your triggers, and sick people say like sick things, like when they're really sick.
Right.
And so like trying to manage your emotions behind that, like, so to truly be effective as a nurse, I had to, but people would see me like, and not with a patient, but just like with coworkers, I had some challenges with knowing how to speak, somebody not helping. And then I would, blow up about them not helping.
Mm-hmm.
And so then it was brought to my attention, but it was brought to my attention more of like, you need to show grace, you need to be more diplomatic. It didn't show up like, EQ. It didn't show up like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was saying that so EQ or emotional intelligence, the whole principle, the whole notion of it, it has been around since the 1990s. So I think around that time, when I was around 13 years old, when the whole idea came out. But the first time that I heard about it was actually in 2016, and it was so funny. I was at work, and there was an individual I worked with. We was standing in front of one of our coworkers' office, and we walked away from the office, and the individual said that we worked with stated, "Oh, this coworker has a low EQ," and I was like, "What? What are you talking about? What's the EQ?" I kind of gave her this blank stare, and she was like, "Emotional intelligence." And I was like, she could see in my face I was clueless. I said, in my mind I was pondering. I was like, what is she talking about? This first time I heard the term. And so she had recommended that I read the book Emotional Intelligence 2.0. And so in 2019 I tried to pick this book up and I tried to read it, but I don't know if it was me, traveling back, having to live in Georgia. I don't know what was going on, but my whole mind was like in this stupor. I could not read this book
or absorb the content. You know what I think? Oh, well, finish your point, and then I'm going to tell you what I think happens when that happens.
Yeah, so like I was reading the first chapter, and I just remember getting angry. And I was like, why am I getting angry? And I really couldn't get past the first chapter. So I was like, well, let me jump around. Let me jump to another chapter. And then I couldn't get past that chapter. I was like, okay, oh my goodness, I couldn't get past any chapter. And it's funny, that so now in 2023, I finally, I don't know, I'm in a better place, I think. And so I finally got it and was able to truly absorb it. What were you going to share?
I was just going to share that I think that our ability to understand certain information comes from growth and maturity and and dimensions. So I think it's I think we enter different dimensions over time.
Yeah.
Because I'm starting to notice with myself, like as I'm getting older, that I don't like certain things, or the certain things that I used to do, I don't want to do anymore.
Yeah, that's very true, and it was.
Or I'm not as attractive.
It was about growth.
Yeah,
definitely about growth, and me just coming.
Were you
out
ready
of that,
to grow?
Yep, where I was ready to grow, and and open and receptive to different concept, different information. It almost makes me think how you were just sharing with me, while you're pursuing your doctoral, how you're in an environment where folks are not receptive to different concepts, ideas, etc., and get offended by it. And it's so important that we take the approach of not taking everything so personal, but that just people have a different perspective, a different outlook, and a take on things. And it's not necessarily geared towards you per se, but it's just to help enlighten us so that we can take that knowledge, what works for us, put it in our pocket, what doesn't, right? Throw it over our shoulder like a grain of salt. And So yeah, now when you're in a better place, or when you are more open and receptive, you can absorb and digest without personal attachment to the information. So I truly agree with you there. So defining emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence, essentially, for those who did not have a chance to connect with our book review that we did last week, I'm going to define it for you, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about it. So, emotional intelligence, it is your ability to recognize and understand emotions in yourself and others, and your ability to use this awareness to manage your behavior and relationships. And one thing that as I was reviewing this book, and I'm on Facebook a lot, as you know. I love going on there because people have such great information that they're sharing. There's this guy, his name is Paulwin, and he does book reviews as well. And so he likes to summarize the books, and he actually had did it on the first book, Emotional Intelligence 2.0, that originated from the original author. But one of the things he was sharing about all of the different impact, how emotional intelligence plays into impacting so many different aspects of our life. And it's really interesting because emotional intelligence, it depending on what spectrum you are, it really can impact in a positive or a negative way our intentions, our consciousness, how we connect with others, and even within our jobs. And if we don't learn how to understand and effectively handle our emotions, we will find difficulty in navigating this experience that we're all going through called life. It truly does serve as a catalyst to our success. So tell me this, how do you view or manage your emotions?
Well, I mean, you're my sister, and
But you're in different environments. Like we have a family environment, we have a work.
And that's what I was just getting ready. That's what I was just getting ready to go towards, is that in different environments, there's I have a different way. So that whole cliche about people have many different faces is very true. Because I feel in a work environment, I'm much different, like with managing my emotions, which would be, of course, right? Because you're not gonna go on no job with some of the antics and some of the outbursts I have in a family environment at work. They'll be like, terminated.
Right.
You now have no job. But I have actually had outbursts on a job, and it resulted in nothing but just, probably just I probably maybe decreased the lack of respect that my peers might have had for me, because they saw me explode. So it somehow erodes their
perception, their view and trust in you
that they may have had, but really their perception of me. But yeah, if I am being honest, I am a very emotional person, especially when it comes to something I'm passionate or I believe in. Like I just can't let go of the belief, because something for me, I work, because I am so emotional. I kind of work off of the energy of my emotions, and if I hold a belief to be true, then the truth for me, I guess, drives like my emotional response. So anyway, I am, for me to answer your question, I do not manage my emotions as effective in my relationships, like my personal relationships, that I do in my professional relationships. If I had to,
right.
provide a comparison.
And we'll get to talk about that a little bit more as you share your scores, or you don't have to share the scores, but just the areas where you found when we took so there's a quiz, folks. If you picked up the book, it's not really a quiz, it's a survey that helps determine where do you fall on that emotional intelligence spectrum. And they essentially do an evaluation to develop your emotional quotient, or your EQ score. And so we'll talk about that in our last question when we talk about development. But for me, as with regards to managing emotions, I view or manage. How do I view or manage my emotions? I feel like I manage my emotions pretty well, and I do this, I think, primarily because I tend to hold my emotions in, which is not a good thing sometimes.
I don't think it's a good thing at all.
Yeah, because
I think that's the reason people have high blood pressure.
True.
That's my take.
But I don't hold it in for the purpose of blowing up. I hold it in because I tend to build patterns of behavior in my mind. So when I'm dealing with people, I try to determine, is this truly who they are? Or is it in this moment that they are like that? So is it the particular environment? Or is it like, this is how they always are? So I'm holding that data in to build patterns of behavior. I'm just constantly taking information in about my environment, the person. I'm going through assessing and making sure that I have enough information about them to help manage our relationship or interactions with one another. Now, I'm not always effective at that. Sometimes I do have some blow up moments, but more so with my family. I don't think I have ever blown up at work. At work, no, at all. I've never come out even when I remember when our CTO, we were standing in the aisle, and he went to the wrong office. And I told him, I said, sir, I said, listen, you have to go to this office for these particular events. I think we were doing severances. And he was like, in the middle of the floor, screaming. And I just looked at him and I said, the information was in your meeting notice, and walked away. Like, you didn't read, you know what I mean? Like, you didn't read, don't take it out on me. Right. So I've always held my composure in those type of environments. But I'll tell you, at home, you and I, right? But that's that sibling love. We be blowing up at each other, and then coming back the next day like, hey girl, like it never happened. Which I think is a beautiful thing, because you it's just in a moment, and you have feelings, etc. And you don't
I think for me, I don't want to have emotion. Some people gosh, what is the word? Some people enjoy, let's just, for lack of a better term, some people enjoy having emotional outbursts in front of other people. I don't enjoy that. I don't enjoy that. Like, when something is getting under my skin and my flesh is rising, I do everything possible to suppress that feeling so that I don't make the wrong decision, because I do feel like when you have emotional outbursts, you're going to make a wrong decision.
You do.
And then when you do, like, to undo that is so hard. It's so hard to undo that. That's why. But people think, I feel like, because I have my own mindset, because I'm an independent thinker, I don't really require you to believe in what I believe in. And now that, like, I'm working on my doctorate, and it's more about like evidence-based, like how everything is evidence-based.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm able to back up the things that I believe in, like with evidence. So I'm just like looking for the evidence so that I'm not using conjecture, that I'm not just saying things just because that's the way that's just what I believe, or just my perception. I'm gonna add just so that my thoughts and my views do hold power. I'm gonna provide you with, oh, this is why, I believe, what I believe. And if you want to believe with me, then that's fine. But if you don't, I'm trying to show you, how to be effective. But I said all of that to say nothing. I I forgot why I was saying that. I was saying that because what was your original question? Sometimes I go off on these tangents.
Well, I was beyond the question, but we were talking about how do you view or manage your emotions.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't like to have emotional outbursts. That's what it started off of. Yeah, how I don't like to have emotional outbursts. But people think I do because I'm opinionated and and I have these like strong views or whatever. And I'm really passionate.
That's more about delivery.
Delivery and tone.
Delivery and tone. Yeah.
I don't think you should have to adjust. I don't think like for everything you should have to adjust your tone and delivery, because then that just like part of that is just like personality. Like, so you want me to uproot my whole personality behind what I'm saying to fit so I don't offend you, or so that you can receive it. But how come you can't just receive it because it's just my personality? Like, it's not personal though. Like, I think
in that book, what I really like, there was a comment by one individual who was talking about their colleague, and he stated, I said, now this guy right here is very aware, because he stated overall his colleague is a good person, has good intentions, but when he gets in a certain environment or feels challenged, etc., he becomes he shows his emotions in a different way. But it didn't take away from who that person was on a day-to-day, right? And I think when we have a high sense of emotional intelligence and a strong understanding of human nature, human behavior, we tend to be able to separate ourselves from that experience and not take it so personally. But once again, as I had shared, taking all that information and then making a determination as to, okay, is this person really like this all the time, or is this just a moment in time? So yeah, I kind of I'm in agreement to that to a point. I think it does depend on your audience, especially like when you're dealing with younger, like children or teenagers, because they just don't get that. They don't have enough understanding.
And he uses an example like that about the
tone. Yeah, tone and delivery is really, really important. But then
especially with children.
You look at someone like Eric Thomas. Did I say his name right?
Eric Thomas, the author?
Mm-hmm. Like, he is rough, right?
Right. And he was not willing to change that, to adjust that for anybody. Either you get what you're gonna get from what I'm saying and from my delivery and from how I'm dressed, because this is me, or you just don't get it. Like, this is not for you. It's not for you.
Yeah. And so that's where I was like, because when I listen to him, I'm like, man, he sounds like
he smokes cigarettes.
About the tone of his voice, but but yeah, he does have that type of raspy voice going on, but he just sounds really, even his delivery, his tone is very is, how do I want to say, I take it as passion now, because I look at it, this is who he is. But you have to be that individual to have that understanding where you just really truly assess someone's true personality versus perceiving, right? Assuming that they are, that assume positive intentions versus negative, right? All right, so let me ask you this.
We're not taught that.
Huh?
We're not taught that.
No, we're not. You know, I have a boss who actually taught me that, and I loved him for that. I ain't gonna say your name. I know you watching, but I love when he taught me that. He looked at me one day, and I don't even know what we were talking about, but he said, "Toya, I want you to always assume positive intention."
Now, you know what? Was this
Mhm.
person, now I have a thing on that, and this may have no evidence,
Mhm.
but I think that different groups of people would have a better handle on that, or they'll have a better understanding of that dependent upon their experiences. But Blacks, okay, and not to make it a racial issue, but Blacks would find that harder because of all of the offenses they have experienced.
That's very true, and the passive aggressive behaviors that come
Yeah,
along with that.
yes. I
Mhm.
think that, that's, I mean, it sounds good.
Mm-hmm. But
Is
I
it
don't think,
reality?
you know how I spun that. How I spun that is whether or not they truly intended to be positive or negative. Whether or not, find the silver lining in the experience.
Right.
Whether or not they took it and it came across to you negatively, position yourself so that you accept it in a positive manner.
Okay.
And so
I can
that's,
accept that.
you can accept that. So that's what I tend to do is when someone comes at me and they, say something that I'm like, man, I really don't know what their true intent was. I always ask myself, well, how can I take what they said and help it to benefit me? Okay. How can I take, even though you might have meant to be negative, I'm about to flip what you just said to me and I'm about to find a way to use it positively.
Right.
So
Easy.
not necessarily about who you are, what you do, and what your intentions are, but who I am, what
Right.
I do, and what my intentions are, right? Because if we get into that habit, I'm telling you, trying to understand people, where they coming from, etc. Girl, you be sitting up there all day, mulling in your feelings.
It'll be like trying to read King James New International Version of the all them different interpretations.
All the
You
different
could come.
interpretations. What
You
is
could
it,
come up.
333 different denominations, trying to read all, yeah, no. So you have to, and that's why it's always so good to do your own homework, do your own research, analyze situations yourself,
Mm-hmm.
come to a conclusion yourself, and then get different perspectives to help to determine as to whether or not, how did I view this, how do others view this in the mainstream, etc. And this is more so just not that you have to change necessarily unless it's something that truly needs to be changed, but so that you can grow, right? So that you can grow. So my question: do you believe that your behaviors are susceptible to cultural influence?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And absolutely they are influenced by culture.
Mm-hmm. Do you have
Now,
an example?
expand on that. That's what I was trying to think of, was an example of how that applies. And it's dependent upon the culture, right? Because there's so many facets of culture. Like, are we talking about like an environmental culture? Or are we talking about like ethnic culture, like my culture, what I was brought up?
I'll say ethnic culture.
So
Yeah,
absolutely.
your
And it's
immediate.
gonna evolve around the experiences. But we like we're from the ethnic group of, we're from Black culture, but most of our experience were from European culture. And then don't forget, there's American culture, there's our suburban culture and our urban culture, kind of all mixed. So how did that influence like this point we are at right now? This point of emotional, I don't want to say fortitude because I don't have that. But the our emotional place we are right now. So, you know, a lot of mine, you already know what mine is driven by. So if I had to say, it was all those negative experiences I had with, you know, non-Blacks.
Growing up in the school system.
That made me have this charged energy. And then when I tried to get rid of it, and I think he speaks to this too, like, because of like what you learned, like that basically like, you're not going to unlearn that. Like it's going to always be, have some sort of influence or just, be a part of your, DNA in some kind of way, your emotional DNA. That's my term, so no one can use it. I just made that up. So it's already
DNA. You gonna take a turn? That's mine.
It is. He got, you know, no. But no, because in some parts of the book, you know, I was like, oh, they thought they really did a thing there, you know, so talk about the breathing. I'm like, the Indians came up with that with mindfulness and meditation alone, like centuries ago. And y'all telling us to breathe now, like, you know, calling it count to 10, you know, no, you stole that. Everything's been stolen. We're sitting.
I call it borrowed. We all have borrowed.
Sitting in a stolen land. But anyway, so I don't want to go too far. But see, there's my emotions, right? And how what I was brought up in and how what has influenced my thought pattern, what has influenced again my emotional DNA has been those experiences I had. And I don't like that. I don't particularly care for that. Those experiences that I had either. I don't think it made me strong. I don't think it made me weak. I don't think it made me strong. I think it made me real, reflective, and
okay. Yes, it all depends on how ingrained you are in your culture, right? And like you said, your life experiences. I truly believe that. I look at myself when I think about my cultural background and looking at it from growing up in Trotwood and how we, you know, our whole community was, I think our whole community was African American except for one white guy across the street. Do you remember the white guy? I was like, but it was.
I don't remember him, but.
I said
I don't remember him, but.
You don't remember him right across the street? Not next to Herman. One up. But anyways, so his house was like the lightest. Where your friend lives now, I think.
They lived in that house?
Yes. Ryan lives. Yeah.
Oh, those were white people in that house?
Yes.
I remember.
I believe so. But anyway, so we lived in a predominantly African American environment. But what was interesting is I think because of the institutions we went to, right? Because we grew up in Catholic institutions. I became ingrained in so many different cultures. I remember going to, you know, bar mitzvahs. And,
oh, yeah. I used to get so jealous when you would get invited to bar mitzvahs because it sounded like something
so fun
and so rich. And I was like, I want those kind of friends that have those kind of parties.
Yeah. So, and I had Indians in my class and white, Black, you know, it was just I lived in a multicultural environment. And so from my perspective, I grew up, I was really ingrained into many cultures. So from my perspective, I have a multitude of influences. And I think what I ended up doing was just purely out of respect. I find that I tend to attune my behavior based on the culture in which I interact. So my behaviors are definitely susceptible to cultural influence, purely because I want to be respectful. I think we all are valuable. We all, different cultures bring so much to the table, and they really help to define who we are. So and I like that. I like all the different experiences that I have garnered because of those influences. So, if you had to ask your colleagues to describe their experience working with you, and I think you provided an element of it earlier, but you provided it from the point as to how you are within the work environment. So I can only assume what they may think, but share with us, how do you think they would describe their experience with you?
Honestly, I've already had like unsolicited responses to this question from coworkers. So one particular coworker I was working with in corrections, just one day she just decided to give me feedback that I didn't ask for. And it's very positive. She was like, "You're literally one of the sharpest nursing professionals I've ever worked with." She's like, "You're very," sorry, I dropped something. She's like, she was like, "You're on point. You really care," just giving me a lot of feedback. She never, alluded to anything about, my communication or, my relationships with others. But from that, I mean, that gave me my continued drive to, do what it is I feel like has been embedded in me to do for vulnerable or marginalized populations. But yeah, I've received feedback. Actually, you know what? My mentor, and I call him my mentor. I don't think he knows he's my mentor, but I just call him that because I think people want to associate everything with age. So so when you say mentor, and he is older, I don't think he's 65 yet, but he just will text message me. Gosh, I want to read to you what he says about me. He gives me such good information, and I don't even have to ask for it. He'll just decide, like, and it's always timely, like because I know I was feeling depressed, because up in the mountains, like, to me, like, I'm glad people enjoy that isolation and that solitude, but I don't. Like, it's not for me at all. That ruralness and going for miles and not seeing anything except like cows. Now, the cows are beautiful, like the animals, because I love animals. That part is beautiful to me because, like, in my head, I'm visualizing, like, what are they talking about? Like, what do they do? Are they going to sleep standing up today? Like, I really be worrying about all of this as I drive by them. But at the end of the day, like, it's depressing to me is that people live out like that or feel like they have that need. Well, whatever, that's farm country. But anyway, and his message was so it was so timely. Dang, and I cannot find it. I was going to read it to you to let you know, just to, kind of give that evidence, right? Because see, I like to provide evidence.
Yes.
That that my coworkers overall think I'm pleasant to work with. They enjoy working with me. They like to work with me because I'm a great support. I'm a great resource. I'm solid. And that's what I get from them. However, what they will tell you is that you crossed me, I'm a totally different person.
Right.
And that's not good, because
Right.
then that, that does more than all the work that you put in.
Damage, yes. It
And then
will ruin
supportive and
relationships.
resourceful, people will that will undo all of that.
Yep.
In like a blink of the eye, the instant you show your hand.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a destructive in an gosh, what is it when you don't control your emotion and unemotion in a too full of an emotional way. You do that and you're gonna lose some people.
Right. Yeah.
Because people baseline are fearful. Mm-hmm. And so if you're dealing with a lot of people who deal with fear, or who deal with post-traumatic stress, or they have their own mental health issues or things like that, then a person like me, who I'm thinking, I'm just being strong. Mm-hmm. I just have a very strong view. It could be intimidating. It could be demotivating. It can turn people off. Mm-hmm. Right. But yeah, I think overall the sense of me is effective, and I get that sense. Why? What would you say your coworkers would say about you? But you haven't worked with a coworker.
Yeah, I haven't. Well, I mean, I work with coworkers now for the past 2 years, but we're remote. So our connection is via the internet.
Telecommunication. That's a different.
It's a different ballgame, different environment. I don't have to deal with you on a daily basis, right?
Well, that's not even the thing. You can't really tell somebody's emotions. I mean, even on Zoom, like I'm disconnected. I don't. It's kind of like with my because I'm my ESL patients.
Right.
I'm not connected. I don't know enough Spanish for you to make me angry. You know what I mean? Like, I feel nothing. Like, they get angry and they're like standing there, and I could see like from their body language, but it does nothing to me.
Right.
Like, it doesn't register. It doesn't provide any type of energy. Because I had a lady do that to me yesterday, and I was just sitting there like, I have no idea what you're saying. And until the translator tells me, and the translator is not going to tell me exactly what you're saying. So it never, I have very little confrontation with any of those patients at all. Right. Don't feel confronted about anything. And I know I'm getting confronted, but it doesn't
the language barrier, right?
Right. But but through telecommunication, like, I think that is what you have, you're at an advantage. Like, I ain't about to get upset.
And I don't. Yeah, I don't.
How?
It's very difficult. But when I did work in the office environment, I will share, because I stopped working in the office environment in 2017, actually. Wow, it's been some time, 6 years. Since then. But even then, one of the things that my managers used to always say to me was that, Toya, you are always calm, cool, and collected.
You know? I say that about you to people. I was like, I wish I could be like her and my dad. But I'd be so ready to fuck something up. Oh my God. And I'm like, where does that even come from?
Well, you said your experiences being.
Well, yeah, I know, but it shouldn't. I don't know. It's just like, well, y'all had the same experience.
We did, but I was not as vocal. I didn't even when individuals were demeaning, etc. I just told on them.
Girl, I
the authorities.
Shit, I am the authority.
What?
I said, shit, I am the authority. Fuck telling the authority. I am the authority.
There's nothing wrong with that, but I was always the one like, I'm telling on you. You need to learn how to behave, right? Because they're not gonna listen to me, and I'm not about to get myself all panties in a bunch, I'm not about to lose who I am, in just because you are who you are. No, I'm not going to do that. And I was okay with that. That was just my approach, right? But going back to what my bosses stated with regards to the fact that I'm always cool, calm, cool, and collected, is that they appreciated having me around, because a lot of my bosses had really high level of anxiety. And so when their anxiety was elevated, I was the one, always kind of seeing the bigger picture, kind of assessing my environment,
equalizer.
gathering, huh?
You were an equalizer.
Yeah, kind of, yes, that's a good word. Equalize the environment, if you will, to make sure that everything came together nicely. So from my perspective, I was, the one organizing, cleaning up, just making sure that in the end, anything that we did, all was seamless and smooth. And I'll give you an example. We had a training, and I had one of my colleagues came in, and I thought she was supposed to be the one putting together the training room, etc. And it was like at the end of the day, and I was waiting on her. I was waiting on her to come get me, to tell me what we were going to do in terms of layout, etc. And it was interesting because the head of the department called me, and she was like, is everything done? And I was like, no. I said, I'm still waiting to know what I'm supposed to do, because I was fairly new. They were seasoned. They were supposed to kind of guide me through. And she went off, and I was like, okay. So homegirl, who I thought was supposed to be putting the training room together, didn't show up. So I ended up doing everything myself. And the next day, everything was perfect. The training room was set up beautifully. I actually took a picture of me with my legs crossed. I think I had on like a bracelet. I have it on Facebook where my legs are crossed, and I'm like, done. But I came in and I just did what I had to do, but I was trying not to step over people, right? I was trying not to step on people's toes, etc., if that was supposed to be their responsibility. And so I made it happen. So yeah, calm, cool, collected. I've always been that way. And so and even I was kind of shocked, and we'll get into our EQ scores when I actually the part about self-management was lower than all my other scores. But we'll get to talk about that a little bit. So last week, I did share the 4 parts of emotional intelligence model that helps us to develop our EQ scores. And that emotional intelligence model is based on the connection between what you see and what you do with yourself and others. And so it was broken down into personal competence and social competence. And underneath personal competence fell self-awareness, what I see. Self-awareness essentially was your ability to accurately perceive your emotions and stay aware of them as they happen. This includes keeping on top of how you tend to respond to specific situations and certain people. Self-management, and this is the area where I need further development. I ranked high, but I need further development. This is all about what I do. And this is your ability to use your awareness of your emotions to stay flexible and positively direct your behavior. So this means managing your emotional reactions to all situations and people. Under the umbrella of social competence, there was social awareness, what I see. And social awareness is essentially your ability to accurately pick up on emotions in other people and get what is really going on. This often means understanding what other people are thinking and feeling, even if you don't feel the same way. And then, of course, relationship management, what I do. your ability to use awareness of your emotions and the emotions of others to manage interactions successfully, letting emotional awareness guide clear communication and effective handling of conflict. So, when you took the test, how did you rate in terms of, and I just want to know with regards to this particular area, just your overall score, and which one did you score the least?
The least I scored was in relationship management, and then the highest score was in social awareness.
Okay.
Which will be compatible with like what I do on a daily basis. It's my job to it is my job to, as far as social awareness goes, to accurately pick up on emotions in other people and get what is really going on. That's part of my job. That's what I do all day long. I'm assessing that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm assessing the way a person asks a question.
Right.
For example, a patient came in and said, I need to get a pap smear.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody makes that statement because most women don't enjoy pap smears, right? Mm-hmm. So I then have to be aware and know, like, oh, wait, what is this patient really asking? They want an STD screen. They think a pap smear detects STD. Right. It detects HPV for cervical cancer, but we're not going to use the most expensive test to get to the value you're trying to get to. So I'm going to be able to pick up, be aware, so I have to know, so I scored the highest in that, and that's accurate. I scored the lowest in relationship management, and that would be accurate as well, because my ability to use awareness of my emotions and emotions of others to manage interactions successfully is impaired. Mm-hmm. I'm aware of my emotions, but then it's like a lot of times, and I think this may come from low self-esteem or other experiences that I have had that have influenced this about myself. But I override a lot of things. I'll start off with good intentions, mm-hmm. and then I fuck it up every time. When me and you got into it, I said, I am not about to be arguing, because my whole thing is I don't want to be arguing in front of the kids anymore, because I don't want them to develop this like hostile impression, or every time auntie comes home, all she does is scream about what is going on around the house or whatever. Just, I don't want to be that person. I honest to God do not want to be that person. But I said that to myself, and we get into an argument, and here we go, throwing up. No, not here we go. Here I go. Because I'm gonna take responsibility for me. Here I go, adding. Well, I felt triggered. Let me just say that. Not making any excuses. I felt triggered by the statement. So I felt, and I didn't have to, because I had already told myself, even though if the conversation became offensive, that I was not going to respond with, past occurrences or try to bring up things to be just as equally as disturbed as I felt. Right. And I did anyway. And I just like kicked myself, because I think I had come off of a week of actually consistent meditation. Mm-hmm. So I was just like, I just basically uprooted all of that I have been training myself, all of it, and it made me like super sad. So here I am, depressed again, because I'm just like, I did all of that. I worked so hard, and then I let all of that go. And it's just like, where does that even come from? Like, I think if I could, and it comes from not being able to control, because I think he talks about that in the book too. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And maybe I don't think it arises for fear for me, because that was kind of patterned or repetitive in his in and emotional intelligence 2.0.
Well, I think also you have to you also have OCD, right?
Oh, that's what somebody else said, but I don't know that I have OCD because
yes, you do. But and it's fine. And that's why I don't, I might blow up with you and at you, but I'm like, this is kind of her behavior. This is where I'm not like that at all. Right. I was like, I'm just not that. I'm not that involved in, making sure. I mean, things in my purview are orderly, etc. But for the most part, you couldn't never classify me as that. But I think you have to also be aware of, just your natural tendencies, what you, your standards, right, that you have, that you've developed. And anytime those standards are challenged or not followed, etc., you become very passionate about it. And so, once again, that's about me understanding your behavior, because I think after the whole ordeal, you called the next day and it's like it never happened, right?
It's almost like I'm autistic or something. I was just like, how why
high functioning folks?
No. High functioning.
She's high functioning.
Hey, Elon Musk is autistic.
Quiet as kept. I think he is.
No, he is. No, he is for real. Yeah, no. He is. I wouldn't say that about the man if he wasn't. He is.
Oh, I was like,
no. He made a $54 billion mistake, and he just found out that Twitter was only worth $20 billion. And that's why now he's trying to sell the blue check mark for $7 again, when he took it up to $11.99. Asshole. That's what you get. That's why I'm glad it's only worth $20 billion. Okay, thank you.
Oh my God. Oh my God. All right. So okay. So for me, when I took the test, how did I rank? My highest at a 91 was self-awareness. Yeah.
You had to sneak that 91 in there.
I just had to throw it.
Nobody want to hear after that.
I am highly self-aware. And then my lowest score, it was still high, as I shared, but it was self-management, my ability to use awareness of my emotions. And so for me, I don't know, I was kind of torn here, but it was still high. So I didn't, I just looked at it as an opportunity for growth. And that's how they want us to look at this particular survey, not as a definition fully of who we are, but how do we take this information and help to continuously develop ourselves? And so in the area that you possess the greatest opportunity for development, what techniques did the author share that resonated with you?
What techniques? Well, okay.
I think yours is relationship.
Wait, I'm sorry. Repeat the question again.
Yeah. So in the area that you possess the greatest opportunity for development, what techniques did the author share that resonated with you?
Oh God. Let's see. So mine would have been for relationship management, because he wanted us to start with the lowest. To that'll be the first one you work on, right?
Yeah, the lowest score. And I think for
was that part of the 17 strategies, or which strategies?
No, it's under relationship management, and under relationship management, yes, they had 17 different strategies that you could do, like be open and be curious, enhance your natural communication style, avoid giving mixed signals, remember the little things that pack a punch, take feedback well, build trust, have an open door policy, only get mad on purpose, don't avoid the inevitable, acknowledge the other person's feeling, compliment the person's emotions or situation. When you care, show it. Explain your decisions, don't just make them. Make your feedback direct and constructive. Align your intention with your impact. Offer a fix it statement during a broken conversation, or tackle a tough conversation.
I like that. Now see, because I like a challenge, I'm going to tackle the tough conversation. I'm going to, the strategies I plan to use is tackling a tough conversation. When I care, I'm going to show it.
Mm-hmm.
And
are these areas you feel like you do well in already, or areas where you feel like you need to develop yourself more?
I think in relationships, persons I interact with could benefit more from me when I care, showing it. Right now, my most demonstrative way of showing that I care is like providing a gift, and I don't necessarily say it, but I don't know if I don't necessarily communicate that verbally, because I don't necessarily want to hear the rejection. Like, nobody's going to reject the gift.
Mm-hmm. No, they will not.
So I think like I don't know if like subliminally I have that thought, and that's the reason why I just don't say anything. Because maybe if they don't say it back, maybe that's a form of rejection for me. I haven't evaluated that yet.
Okay.
But out of those 17, I probably need to work on all 17. Let's just put it that way.
Some
Also,
element of them, right?
yeah. Some of them hold more strength, or a higher, they're lower on the list, and the other ones that I really need to work on are higher on the list. But yeah.
Yeah, I said for myself, because self-management was my lower score, that I and I started actually doing this, and even if I'm a day late, I'm like, I'm just going to do it, make my goals public.
Yes,
I'm always very secretive. I don't say what I'm going to do until it's done. And so, but I said, okay, I'm just going to announce and try and get as close as I possibly can to the date. The other one I am working on, and I've been actually working on this. I was not working on it, but I noticed that I was doing this when I lived in New York, and my roommate pissed me off so bad. I mean, she just.
I wonder whatever happened to her.
Girl, I mean, I mulled over
her
that
baby
girl.
was so cute.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful baby. We had a nice relationship until I got married. It was very bizarre. And I later found out that she actually liked my husband, or my ex-husband. Yeah, that's another story for another day. But anyways, so why she was acting like that, I was like, really? Is that really what happened? But anyway, but I realized, because we had such a good relationship and that relationship fell, I mulled over our relationship for like an entire year. I was so angry, so disappointed in her, because I really felt like we were supporting each other as single moms, right? We were two single moms, both had our daughters. We were taking care of
it was a good situation.
It was a very good situation. And when I got married, or announced that I was getting married, she went south. She went into another. I don't know.
Envy.
It had to have been, because I was like, I don't even know why she would behave like that, and I was moving out, and she was like trying to kick me out. But anyway, so that whole entire year, I I had so much negative self-talk going in my head. Ooh. And that impacted me for like a whole year. And then I realized I started doing that more. Anytime something really bad happened, I would just have this negative self-talk that just goes through my mind. But like I said, what do? I internalize my emotions. I'm always trying to, take my time with myself, give myself some grace while I try and get over the moment. And so taking control of self-talk was one. Another one is accept that change is around the corner. So just understanding that In every given situation, as Maya Angelou whispers in my ear, this too shall pass.
I
Change.
say that to myself a lot, actually.
Don't you say I said. That woman is brilliant, because I'm so happy she brought that to the forefront. That truly helps me in every given situation.
When I think of powerful people like that come up with those kind of things, I think of all that they had to go through to come up with that. Like, she went through a lot, like like a struggle. Her, Oprah, people that are successful in
They
self.
have so much knowledge to give to help the next generation, right? To help the next generation get through life circumstances. But I any situation that I'm in, I go with the flow, and I understand that it's a moment in time, and try to work my best and accept that change is coming. It's right around the corner. And of course, you have to put effort towards it, right?
That's what I just said in my head.
Yeah, that you have to put. You can't just.
The effort has to be
happen, but
right.
You have to be taking steps towards making that happen.
I have a sibling that thinks things are just going to happen.
Oh. Which sibling is that?
Will remain nameless. Just the shit is just.
And then, of course, the last one is breathe. I think when we have that opportunity to just take time for self.
They should teach this kind of stuff in school. That these should be starting.
Social, emotional, and ethical learning, C learning, where they're starting to help children better understand how to leverage their emotions more effectively. Because, for a long time, we've been using religion as the basis to guide people. And as people are moving away from the idea of religion, they're trying to make sure that in addition to having that spiritual component, in addition to, the books that were brought here to teach, that folks know how to implement those teachings more effectively. And so we see that through C learning, that is social, emotional, and ethical learning, that program that has been launched all across the world, actually. Did you have anything else you wanted to share?
No, I don't think so.
All right. Well, hey. All right. So, of course, we never conclude without sharing. Here you go. Oh my God, you are the worst. We're gonna be lovers of music, and you always forgetting the music.
My song, I know.
All right. Well, anyways, guess what? I got you.
Thank you. That's what sisters are for.
That's what we're for. So we are lovers of music, folks. It seems like I'm more of the lover. Actually, I just like researching. It's so fun to try and research.
Oh, you know what? That's what I said. I was in the break room at work yesterday, and when I walked in, it was a thing of radishes because we're supposed to have Chipotle. But I was like, I looked at everybody around eating, thinking it's Chipotle. I think they thought it was Chipotle. I said, y'all, this is not Chipotle. I said, this is some other Mexican, spot they got this from, because a rep had brought us food. The rep for that stupid Dovato commercial. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. That stupid HIV pill commercial is on my last nerve. Anyway, so they brought us food, big old thing, radish. So I come in and I was like, woo, I love radish, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I eat them whole.
They so good. You got me hooked.
But guess what? Because they're so spicy, it tastes like something. I don't know. So I've been eating them with cucumbers. You're not even supposed to eat radish and cucumbers together. So while I'm standing up giving a whole research dissertation to the whole break room about radish and cucumbers, and then at the end, so I don't feel stupid, I always say this so I don't feel stupid. I was like, oh, I'm just building a book of useless knowledge. I love to research. I was like, but you shouldn't eat radish and cucumber together, because radish are packed with vitamin C and antioxidants, and cucumbers are packed with the enzyme that lyses vitamin C. So So all of that, you just undid it once you eat the cucumbers. And when I tell you I ate a whole bag of cucumbers, a whole bag. I was like, so literally, no particular. And when I couldn't meet with you that last time, I was like, I need to eat better, even better, because never in my life have I kept a cold over 1 or 2 days. I literally just got rid of that I was suffering with when I told you I can't do this thing. My throat was hurting and my nose felt plugged.
Wow. It wasn't COVID,
Monday was the last time I had symptoms.
Wow.
Nose profusely running. Huh?
It wasn't COVID?
Mm-mm.
Oh, you didn't? Okay.
Well, I don't know if it was COVID. I don't test myself.
Oh, you didn't test yourself?
But I didn't have a fever because, COVID come with a fever.
I had COVID. I didn't have a fever though.
You didn't? Are you sure you didn't have a fever?
I had drainage in my nose and my throat. Very, very bad. I mean, and I was at work like, excuse me.
Well, see, mine went like that. My nose just kept running, and I was just like, what is this? Like every 5 seconds, I was blowing my nose. I was like, this is disgusting. I was so disgusted at work because I don't like to be at work doing that because I already washed my hands. So I was double washing my hands, pumping the hand sanitizer, doing this, and then going back. Couldn't remember if I had pumped the hand sanitizer, so going back, doing it again. You can see my cuticles.
OCD.
I mean, I know. You know what? I do. You know what? I do have OCD. I do. You know why? I just thought of? Because when I'm in the shower, I do the same thing every morning. If I don't pump the soap 7 times, I don't feel clean. And if I don't wash with 3 different soaps, I don't feel clean. So I have to wash with the bar soap, the Neutrogena, and then the smell, and then a different smell good. So it might be OCD because I do it every single time. And if I miss a step, like I'm the one that will get back in the shower just to make sure.
I told you.
That's stupid.
But that's why I sit here and I literally
did that to myself though. I did that to myself because I made that up. Because that's not even true. And I know
it happens gradually. You don't realize that you do it. It just starts happening gradually. And then you're also in an environment. Don't forget your environment requires constant washing, constant cleanliness, right? So your environment also attributes to how you manage yourself. But all right, folks, sorry we got off on a tangent. You know how we do.
Always. I'm a tangential thinker. And just like the book, he said you don't put emotions in a good and bad column. I'm not gonna put my mental health problems in a good or bad column.
Right.
OCD, tangential.
Yeah,
hey, it's what works for me. I'm still
works
successful.
For you. And when you're ready or you feel like you have to improve because it's now detrimental to your growth, then you work on that. But anyway, so what is the music choice for this week? None other than our title, In My Feelings by Drake. Kiki, do you love me? Right? Have you ever saw the video?
Ain't that crazy? When we was younger, all we did is watch videos
all day. I was such a couch potato.
I can't tell you a video. If it showed up, I'd be like, oh, what's that?
I don't watch them now, but it's good. It's interesting to get back into, like, when I do these trying to find a song choice. And but that one popped up and I was like, no, this is not Drake. And he had, in the video was so stinking funny because Felicia Rashad was
she in it.
Girl, she is in it. You gotta watch the video. And I'm just gonna say right now, Drake, you are not funny. That's all I'm gonna say. Drake, you are so not funny. But it was funny because he was coming over to Felicia Rashad's house trying to talk to her daughter. And, Felicia Rashad heard him outside and she was like, boy, you better get up off my property, trying to, holler at my girl, my baby girl. And something happened. He wasn't moving fast enough and he dropped something. He said, I can't see. I got one eye, some bull. And I was like, he is so not funny. I hate him. But my favorite part, and it ain't got nothing to do, folks, with our that whole Talking about so Kiki and Kiki like 5 different girls. Who is Kiki? Which one is she? Okay. But my favorite part in the whole song was the girl rapper. God, what was her name? I forgot. She came out and she always be like, "What's your net worth?" All that other stuff she said beforehand, I can't say. But I was like, that's my favorite part of the song.
Oh yeah, bleep out my curse words.
Yeah, I know. It's like bleep, bleep. No, it was like 4 lines of ratchetness. And then that line came in, and I was like, okay, I can say that one, and I can do that one. All right, you guys. Well, thank you so much for being here with us today. I'm glad to have you back, Tiff. This has definitely been fun. Missed you truly. Doing it solo is just,
I know. I missed
doing it solo. It's just not the same vibe. But I can do reviews. That's all right. I can still manage those. But folks, please join us in 2 weeks as we launch our new series, Get Your Mind Right. Our next author shares that our success in business and in life depends on how we think. However, thinking effectively can be complex, as the main difficulty of thinking is confusion. We try to do too much at once. We have emotions going, information coming in, logic, hope, and creativity all tend to crowd in on us, where we end up juggling with too many balls. So join us as we highlight Edward de Bono's book, The 6 Thinking Hats. Edward is long recognized as the foremost international authority on conceptual thinking and on the teaching of thinking as a skill. We will learn how de Bono unscrambles the thinking process with his 6 thinking hats. We look forward to you joining us, and in preparation for our discussions, we have included in the description where you can pick up a copy of the book. To access all replays or learn more about Kinky Knots Cafe's Proactive is the Way, please visit www.kinkyknotscafe.com. Proactive is the way, my friends. Take good care.